Hey guys, you ever have one of those mornings when you wake up and your girlfriend or your wife is giving you tampo and you don't know what happened? Why is she like that? Then all of a sudden she starts screaming. She wants a divorce. She wants to leave you. She's going to report you to the Bureau of Immigration. What do? Should you be worried? No. Let's ask Heidi what we should do. Hey Heidi, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks.
I want to talk to you about guys who come here to the Philippines and their relationship doesn't work. We have mutual friends, and I have lots of guys I talk to. They come here to the Philippines, they're on a Balikbayan Visa or they're 13A, SRRV, but their relationship with their wife falls apart.
Okay.
Are they stuck? Are they going to get deported if you're on a 13A marriage spousal visa?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to deport you because your wife doesn't like you anymore and she's moved out and you can't fix things?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they can't really deport you unless you've done something that falls under VAUSI or violence against women and children. But if you just broke up, and you're not seeing each other anymore and you're on a 13A, I mean, you can still continue as long as the marriage is valid. But I would suggest just before she can go to immigration and say, oh, I don't want to sponsor his visa anymore, become the petitioner, I suggest us downgrading your visa from 13A to back to tourists just to protect yourself, and then that's a safer way of dealing with it rather than you never know what happens in the duration of your separation. So you'd rather protect yourself and not be bounded by this person anymore, whereby your spouse can use it against you, like, hey, I'm the petitioner of your visa, like I can just go to immigration, and which is common, right, Mike? Like, it's
Yeah, a little
common.
bit of semi blackmail.
Yeah.
Keep supporting me, or I'm going to go to immigration.
Hmm.
I think it can be a problem. And once you're not living together,
Yeah.
that is the point, not just arguing. I wouldn't change if you're just arguing, but
Hmm.
once you separate residence,
Yeah.
I would downgrade or change my visa if I could.
Hmm.
A lot of guys who are past military and they're eligible for the SRRV, but they're married to a Filipina and they choose the 13A. I consider that a mistake. What do you think?
I get asked this question a lot. What's better, 13A or SRRV? I mean, if you served in the military and if you're receiving at least 1,000 USD of pension, then I suggest just going with the SRRV expanded courtesy. Mostly because your visa is dependent on you and it's not dependent on anyone else. So even if you break up, she can never say, "Oh, I'm the petitioner of your visa." Like, no one can take away your visa from you aside from the agency, or if you do something wrong. So that's always the safest way. If you have that option, then please do that option. If you have the money to do the SRRV Classic with the 10,000 or 20,000 deposit, then please do that option. Because this is your stay in a country that's not necessarily it could be your residence, but this is foreign country to you, obviously. And I'm always a staunch believer of, like, protect yourself because you never know what happens in the future. And I can, people ask me, like, oh, what's the advantage of this and what's the advantage of this with the 13A? You do your annual report. It's like, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but it's like 500 pesos. I haven't,
It's 300,
it's
310.
310
It's cheap. Yeah.
pesos. 310 pesos for SRRV expanded courtesy. It's like $10 a year.
That's
So
5,500 pesos.
500 pesos. So it's like, it's a pretty good deal, right?
A lot of guys will come in and they're married to their Filipina
Hmm.
and they come in together and they qualify for the ballot buy-on visa,
Yeah.
which is
1 year.
1 year visa free. You don't have to do anything
Hmm.
but be here. But if you have marital problems, you
Hmm.
break up and she's threatening to go to immigration, what should somebody do?
Mm-hmm. Well, so this is the thing. Like, I know foreigners who come here always, afraid with that threat of, like, oh, I'll go to immigration. But the thing is, immigration cannot just deport you right away. There has to be a process, and you will be given the opportunity to be heard. So it's not that, oh, your spouse goes there and tells you, oh, deport this person. It doesn't happen that way. So don't be scared when you're threatened, because there is due process. Out of every case where there's something filed against you, there is always due process and you will be given the chance to be heard. unless there's you're guilty about something, criminal or anything like that. But if that's not the case, then do not panic and just consult a lawyer, an immigration expert, just so you are prepared for whatever happens.
I think as long as there's no violence
Yes.
involved,
Yeah.
guys, if you raise your hand to somebody, anything can happen,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a whole different criminal matter.
Yeah.
But just because a couple isn't getting along
Mm-hmm.
and it's he said, she said, um, you have rights
Yeah.
here, and usually they'll give you time to change over your visa.
Yeah. They do. They
You know,
do.
it isn't like you have to do it in 10 hours or else you're out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because, the process in immigration also take time. So they won't just like right away, like, get rid of you or ask you to like downgrade your visa. Also, if you separate, there's also like legal separation and annulment, which also takes like months, which can go on for years. And before that's even finalized, technically you're still married. So it won't happen right away. But just prepare and get all the information that you need.
On the 13A, if heaven forbid your spouse goes first,
Mm-hmm.
and do you lose the 13A? Can you stay in this country under a 13A visa if your spouse is deceased?
Mm-hmm. So, your 13A visa is actually tied up to your marriage to a Filipino spouse. Now, if your Filipino spouse passes before you do, then unfortunately that ends, the validity of your visa unless you have a child together. So, if you have a child together, then you can continue your 13A.
And that child is a Philippine citizen,
Uh,
and you have to be on the birth certificate, is
yeah,
my understanding.
yes,
You
that's
have to
correct.
be the natural father.
Yes, that's correct.
So, guys, the SRV, if you can afford it, there's a lot more protection
Mm-hmm.
than you're going to get with the 13A. 13A, you got a lot of protection, but it's based that you're married to somebody and you're happily married to somebody.
Yeah.
So protect yourself at all times and don't panic if a relationship falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Contact Heidi, contact the lawyer, contact somebody.
Yeah.
Just don't hang out there listening to people tell you immigration is coming to get you. We're going to have you deported tomorrow. It doesn't
Exactly.
happen that way.
Exactly. And I would advise against, I know there's always like this social media war between the couples. Like,
Keep it off of YouTube.
keep it off of YouTube, keep it off of social media. I feel like you're only feeding the other person's anger. Like, if you ignore it, it'll fizzle out. But just don't air your dirty laundry on social media because that could be, that could be used against you. So, because there is like cyber libel laws in the Philippines. So just keep it out of there. Use other means to talk about it. Talk to your friends about it. Don't air it on social media.
Oh, I'm not going to have a good story.
That's yeah, Mike. The chismis is yeah.
Me, I'm the king of the chismes. SRV, the lowering of the age. Any new news on that?
I've been asking about it this for the
No
longest
changes
time.
yet.
No changes, but if you want to be on the mailing list or on the news, just feel free to email us and we'll add you to the mailing list. And once you're there and once it gets approved, you'll be the first ones to know. I have like 20 people on that mailing list as of today. And so if you want to get added, just, feel free to email us and let us know.
And any updates on the Nomad visa?
Still nothing. You know how it is in the Philippines. Like
Everything.
everything takes such a long
That snail
time.
that's coming from Manila to Cebu, he'll get here first.
Yeah.
There's another blogger, everybody knows Filipina P. She
Mhm.
did a blog about the investment visa.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you guys who are lucky enough to have enough funds
Mm-hmm.
to do this, can we talk about that investment visa?
Sure. So the Special Investors Resident Visa, or what we call the SIRV, is another visa whereby it's approved by the Board of Investments. So this visa requires you to invest 75,000 USD into the Philippines. Now, there are only limited forms of investments. These are investments in publicly listed corporations, which Philippine Stock Exchange, or investment in a new or existing corporation. So meaning, a company that's based in the Philippines, wherein your investment has to amount to that 75,000 USD. Now, the difference between the investments is your reports. So if you invest in the Philippine Stock Exchange, your reports are done every 3 years. If you invest in new or existing companies, then your reports are done every year. So I would suggest that if you are planning to do the SIRV, figure out the type of investment that you want to do before you start the process, because this will help you, smoothen or not have any problems with the process, and it can get done faster. So the SIRV actually is kind of like the 13A, where it's a two-tier process. First, you apply for the SIRV probationary, and you have that 6 months, which could also be a year if you want. But within that, you can apply for the SIRV probationary. And then once you've figured out your investments, then you can apply for the SIRV permanent. So it's a very good visa if you have the funds to do it. I know, you might be having issue, second thoughts about investing in the Philippine Stock Exchange, but our economy is pretty healthy. And it's an indefinite visa as well.
Is that a age restricted visa?
No, actually, you can apply at least 21 years old.
So the guys under 50 years of age who can't get any kind of SRV visa, this is another alternative to getting a permanent visa.
Yes, yes.
So
This
they
is
can do that
also
one. Are there any other type of visas that a younger man could get to become a permanent resident without marriage involved?
So we have this visa called, this is mostly for business owners. So the special visa for employment generation. And this visa, as long as you have 10 full-time Filipinos that you've hired, then you can apply for this permanent residency, this permanent visa, as long as you hire them on a full-time basis within your company. So we have a couple of clients, mostly they're the business owners who actually opt for this visa.
So if I opened a restaurant and I had 10 employees, I would be eligible for something like that. So restaurants and bars and, low, uh, you don't have to be a call center or a big business to get that.
Yes, as long as the business is under your name, or you have a certain control over the business, and then those employees that you have are full time, meaning they're already regularized, they're done with the probationary period, you are paying their government benefits, you have their employment contracts, then you can basically avail of this visa.
So a guy's over here on a tourist visa. He decides he wants to stay. He sees this restaurant that's for sale. He goes to buy it. Can he contact you and you can help him with this in business visa?
Yes, for sure. We can even help them with the purchase and anything, business related, because part of our services is not just immigration, it's also the business services, wherein, if there are expats who want to invest in the Philippines, then we can help them throughout the process
And
from A to Z.
including the tax and everything of this nature,
The taxes, the legal side of it, the entity
the
setup.
business permits and such.
Yes.
That's great. So guys, there are alternatives. You don't have to sneak and have a, scuba shop or a restaurant or a bar or a coffee shop. You just have to meet some certain requirements to get there. Now, on the tourist visas, we still have the 30 days upon arrival.
Yeah.
You got to do the first 30 days extension, and then you get a 60-day extension, and that's when you get the ACR card.
Yes.
After that, now you're here 4 months. Can you get a 6-month extension?
No, the 6 months is unfortunately still suspended. So right now it's still 2 months, 2 months.
2 months, 2 months,
2 months, 2
2 months.
months. So it's like first extension is 30 days, and then second extension is 2 months. On the second extension, you will be asked to do an ACR iCard. Now, I just want to make it clear that the ACR iCard, when you're applying for another visa, it doesn't really hold any bearing, because it's just an identification for your tourist visa. The fun thing is you can apply for a bank account on selected banks, or you can also use this to convert your foreign driver's license into a Philippine driver's license, which the Philippines loves ID. So
They love that.
we love IDs.
Since you're talking about bank accounts and driver's license, these are two things that two foreigners can have all the same documents, arrive in the Philippines at the same time, and one will receive a bank account and one does not. What do you think causes that?
Really, it's the bank. So you have to be very, it's like hit and miss. But I can recommend banks for you: Security Bank or Philippine National Bank, PNB. These banks are very, foreigner friendly. The basic requirements are basically, your ACR card, your passport, lease contract. So if you have a lease contract that proves, you're staying here for a long time, and also proof of billing, and then proof of income. So these are things that the bank will really say, okay, so you're staying here in the Philippines, you're using this for expenses, then we'll open the bank account for you. So you cannot just go to a bank and say, hey, open a bank account for me.
It's very handy to have a Philippine bank account. I use
Yeah.
the debit card here from BDO for everything. Now on the driver's license, there's a lot of different, I guess, whatever LTO you go to and the manager, how they handle things.
Yeah.
I've heard you have to be here minimum 90 days.
90 days.
Other people say 120. And the biggest complaint is some offices are saying you need a 6-month extension on your tourist visa.
Yeah.
But they don't issue that. Have
Yeah.
you heard about that?
So what you can do, and it's really 120 days. So they might say 90, but it's actually 120 days. But it also depends on the LTO office, like you said, because honestly, these government agencies don't really talk to each other. So if they ask you for a 6 month, just look for the memorandum that says the 60 days suspended. So that could be your proof that, say you're wrong, like there's no 6 month extension anymore. So here's proof from the immigration that the 6 months doesn't work.
And then also, a lot of guys come here, they don't have the motorcycle endorsement on their driver's license. My word to you guys is you have to go take a class and pass the test, or there's other ways around it, but it's expensive and not really the right way to do it.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't really check when you purchase vehicles. They don't even check you when you're, stopped by LTO, and you just say
Yeah.
hi and it's fine. Like I've heard that from my business partner who's Canadian.
But a lot of people like to be 100% legal. They want to do things the right way. Is this something you can help people with, the banking and the license, or not really? Is that?
No, yes, actually, because we have a contact with, especially here in Cebu, Security Bank, so we can just send you to the right individuals who can help you with the bank account opening. The driver's license conversion, we do help with that, and we've helped a couple of clients that we've worked with. The bank account, definitely free. We'll just, ask us and we'll send you to the right direction. And then with the driver's license conversion, we do charge, but that's only because,
There's a lot of footwork, a lot of paperwork.
a lot of paperwork, footwork, a lot of questions, and we want you to have it as convenient as possible.
Heidi, you still offer the consultation, phone conversation with a young
Yes.
man who just wants to talk to you and hear you breathe for 15 minutes?
I've been fortunate that no one's been trying to do that.
Thank God. Thank God. Good thing my listeners are all gentlemen at all times.
Respectful. Yeah. Email consultations are free. I have a team who responds to that. And then video audio consultations are free. Video audio consultations, I actually charge $25 just to make sure that you're going to show up. And then in-person consultations are basically the same, just to make sure you show up. Because before we're doing it for free, and some people would just not show up.
You'd wait all day and
Yeah.
nobody shows up. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
they got to have a little skin in the game. I understand that
Exactly.
completely.
So, sometimes I give them for free, honestly. Like if you like randomly pass by the office and I'm here, I'm not always here because my staff complain about I'm taking meetings, they're answering phone calls. So, but if you drop by, just message that you wanna, speak with me, and we'll accommodate to that.
You say something to me all the time when we talk about somebody. You go, not on my watch.
Yeah.
And the advantages to using a service, you get these guys out there who will say, oh, you can do it yourself, it's cheaper. But when you run into a problem, the I's aren't dotted, the T's aren't crossed, you don't let people hang, do you? You take care of them. When there's a problem, that's when they really need you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also the good part about using an agency. When something goes wrong, we're here to help you. If there are any issues, we're here to help you. We're on your side, we're on your team, and we want you to get, to the other side and what your goal is going to be. So sometimes, we have obviously Attorney Renzo who handles all the legalities. Sometimes I step in case, there are issues that need creative solutions. So that's really something that we take pride in.
I liked, we sent you a friend of ours. We're not going to mention no names, but he had an issue. He thought people were reporting him to the Bureau of Immigration for doing things wrong, even though he didn't. You were able to help him by relieving his stress level and going down there for him, right?
Yeah, yeah, we did
And
that.
then to find out that his file was clear or he didn't have any issues. Guys, a lot of times a girlfriend of some guy down the street, they yell, "We're going to report you to immigration." Don't let that bother you so much.
Yeah.
And if you need someone to check on it and you don't want to go there in person because you're afraid you're going to get arrested, you can hire someone here at CNG to go down there and find out for you.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people walk the talk, and threats are just empty threats. And just keep in mind that if something does happen, it doesn't really happen right away. There are processes, and there is, things that has to happen before the worst scenario, happens. So if people are giving you empty threats, just do not panic right away, because panicking will just there's no point in worrying about something that isn't happening yet. You're on the losing end.
Don't lose sleep over it. You got to have in life, you got to have a good doctor, you have an attorney, you have an accountant, and I believe you need a visa consultant. If you're on your visa, even mine here with the 13A, the second part of it, the second tier is coming up, and Heidi's going to hold my hand through this process. And it's a big relief knowing that I don't have to worry about it. And I recommend using CNG Consultant. Give Heidi a call, send her an email. Down in the description below is all her contact information, the one-stop shop.
Yeah. And if you have a question, just feel free to book a consultation. I think Mike has it on his link. And then, let's talk. Normally it's me taking the call. So yeah, I'd be happy to meet you guys.
All right. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you, Mike.
Until next time.
Bye.